Mark, this Indiana team scored 162, and well, certainly that's an outlier. It's not terribly far off of the type of offensive nights that they're capable of. What do you see about them that it's going to be a possession after possession threat?
Yeah, I mean, they apply constant pressure on your defense with their pace. And not only their pace up the floor, but their pace moving the ball in the half court. Their guys play with a lot of freedom and looseness in a good way. You know, their guys all play to the top end of their confidence levels, and that's in the water there. So they're one of the best teams in the league. You know, over the last couple months, they're going to be a really, really hard team in a playoff series. And they're a really, really hard team to prepare for. You know, just you can talk about, you know, how the game's going to feel, but then it's different when you get out there. I thought we experienced that when we played them in Indiana. It took us a long time to get a grip on that game. So they're a really respected opponent by us.
Who's the guy?
Yeah. So Coach Carlisle's been doing this for a while, and I just want to know your thoughts about what he's been able to do over the years and adapt and adjust as the game has changed. Sometimes the old school guys, they don't adapt as well as he has. He's done pretty well with it.
It's a great point. You know, it's his longevity. First of all, I mean, he's forgotten more about the NBA than anybody knows in the first place. When you think even back to his playing career, the teams he played on, but it's a great coaching point because Detroit back in the day, Indiana back in the day, there's like grinded out teams, and then when they won the championship in Dallas, that was like he was way ahead of his time with like this free flowing offensive thing, not necessarily like with the pace up the floor, but the half court pace and how deep they would go into the possessions, passing the ball. I think they called it flow game back then. That was like really, really ahead of the curve. That's one of the more creative and innovative things that came around at that time. And then in Indiana, I mean, from the minute his feet hit the ground there, they have had a very, very clear identity that's elevated their team performance. It's elevated the individual players that have been there. I think that's been a mark of what his teams have done over time. And he's uncomfortable to coach against. He's bold. He's unpredictable. He's creative. So obviously someone I have great respect for.
What's the guy, guys? Just right, and then we'll go back.
Coach, just to piggyback on the conversation you had not so long ago about just adapting to Oklahoma City, coming from being Massachusetts native. I could share that with you as well, but just talk about.
Where are you from?
I'm from Boston.
Are you really?
I didn't know that. My first season here in Oklahoma, so I guess my question is, how unique of an experience has that been, and did you ever think that it would be this quickly where you're able to guide this team to the most successful regular season that the franchise ever seen?
Well, how's it going for you? You have more than that. I've been here 11 years. I've lived here longer now than anywhere else in my life other than Massachusetts.
It's different. It's different for sure. But always tell people it's a good difference. It's a good difference. It's a nice change of pace, I say.
Yeah, I mean the lack of traffic is great, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's not like construction just popping up everywhere. That's nice.
7 days a week.
Yeah. People are nicer.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
no snow plows or salt trucks though.
No.
So when it snows, everyone just waits for the snow to melt, which I would say is one of my larger complaints. In Massachusetts, you're used to the maintenance of the roads being really good. So.
I guess it's different from a basketball standpoint, I guess. For what you've been able to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, we're not talking about that here. We're talking about the snow trucks. So.
I guess the understanding your question, Alex and Jim, where they stand.
Yeah, still waiting. We'll see how they go. We want to make sure we want to go through the whole pregame before we rule them in or out.
Anybody else? Joel in the back.
I know the sample's not large, but the lineup with Chet and Hart side, specifically without Shay and J-Dub, like, what have you gotten from that sample? Are you encouraged by what they can do for the reserves surrounding them?
I think we've played it enough now. I mean, we obviously would have liked to play it more, but we had injuries. We've played it enough now that some like statistical tendencies and stylistic tendencies have started to emerge with it, where we can understand the strengths and vulnerabilities of that lineup. which is really what you're trying to do when you're switching lineups anyways. Like I think we know that pretty well about small. Like when we go small, which we haven't done a lot lately, but we kind of know that like the back of our hand at this point. We know how we want to play. We know what works. We know what doesn't. And we know kind of what our strengths and vulnerabilities are, which allows us to utilize that, situationally based on what we know about it. And we've invested a lot of minutes since Chet's been back to try to learn that about those particular types of lineups. And that's starting to crystallize for us at this point, which is helpful as we come down the stretch of the season to just better understand our team. But those guys have done a great job. I think they've accelerated the growth of that lineup because of the approach they've taken to it.
So, a quick follow-up to that. You have a threshold for how much you want to see a lineup before you make a verdict on it? So to speak?
There's no verdict point. It's like it's an ever evolving understanding of anything, not just a lineup, but a player, your team, a lineup. Every single data point is just more understanding of it. And then you also, what's hard about that is that it changes over time. So like, you're gaining more understanding over time, but they could also be improving, or it could be plateauing. So we're just trying to stay very open, but we're never really. It's never time to draw a conclusion on a player or on your team or on a lineup, because there's always new information coming in. So we just try to stay very open and try to see what's right in front of us, as objectively as possible.
Rich is shooting a career best 40% from three. Kind of what does that do for his game and your offense overall?
Okay, Rich. Yeah, he's been great, and he's shot it pretty well. It's not an outlier. He's shot it well the last couple of years. Even though, what was he last year? He was like 30. Yeah, he's pretty good last year. Really good 2 years ago. So, I think a great example of someone that, shot selection. He understands what his shots are, and he's ready to shoot them, and he'll shoot them under any circumstance. And he really doesn't get loose with that. He's very, very predictable on the shots he'll take, and he's very predictable on the shots he won't. And I think that gives players confidence. I think when they're going in there and every shot is a decision, it's a little bit harder. But he's created a predictability to his game that's allowed him to be very consistent and put a lot of work into that. His free throws this season have spiked considerably after a period of time where he was struggling there. So he's just a guy who's done great work. And should be really proud of the player he's turned himself into. He's obviously had high impact for a long time, but he's really made himself a very potent offensive player.
Anybody else?
Thank you.